Welcome to this third video reflection from St John's Stoneleigh. I trust you're keeping safe and well, and we are trying to make every effort to encourage each other and stay in touch in different ways. This weekend is Palm Sunday. Journeys fascinate, and this is a Garmin sat-nav, were once an essential travel accessory. Technology now gives us all the locations and directions we need from our smartphones. The cruise ship that Margaret and I were on was hundreds of miles off the East African coast, but we were on lockdown because of the pirate threat. Barbed wire on all the lower decks, fire hoses in position, crew members scanning the horizon 24/7, the internet shut down, and the ship zigzagging, and the captain in continuous contact with Allied military patrols. And then there was me, with my Garmin. It displayed altitude 25 metres, the height of the deck, longitude 60 degrees east, latitude 0. We were crossing the equator. For all the mayhem around me, I knew where I was. The same could not be said of other journeys. Albert Einstein was instantly recognisable and boarded a train from Plymouth to London. He was found by the ticket collector under his seat, searching for his mislaid ticket. "Don't worry," said the official, "we know who you are, and we saw you buy your ticket in Plymouth." When the ticket collector returned up the carriage, he found Einstein still searching. Despite further reassurances, the great man insisted, "Without my ticket, I don't know where I'm going." It's good to know where you're headed. Palm Sunday is the dramatic start to the last week of Jesus' life. It's the climax of a journey. Jesus has been travelling down the Jordan Valley from Galilee. He has passed through Jericho, and he has arrived at the village of Bethany en route for Jerusalem. The Gospels say that he set his face towards Jerusalem. He knew where he was going. So let's get a spiritual fix on this story and ours. In our imagination, let's take a look at the Palm Sunday journey, its geography, its history, and its destination. It points us perhaps to our destination also. The view from the Mount of Olives with the old city of Jerusalem and the Dome of the Rock is one of the world's great views. From the top of the Mount of Olives, you can walk down the track past the little church of the Dominus Flevit, meaning literally the Lord wept. At the bottom of the hill is the Kidron Valley and the Garden of Gethsemane, and towering above you are the 15th century walls of the old city. Etched into those walls are the walled-up entrances of the Golden Gate that faces east. Orthodox Jews believe that the Messiah will one day enter Jerusalem by that gate. This was the route that Jesus took on Palm Sunday, entering the city through this gate in an earlier set of walls and entering the temple area where he challenged the rogue traders and the moneylenders. There is huge significance in what Jesus did on that day, and his kingship was temporarily revealed. He was, for that moment, the 24-hour king. Jesus was making a geographical journey, a historical journey, and a spiritual journey. This is not Swift's Lilliput, Tolkien's Middle-earth, or J.K. Rowling's Hogwarts Academy. It's about real places, real time, real history, and a real saviour. Jesus has made preparations for this day, just as he had for the Passover meal a few days later. God does not do things by chance. The situation is never out of his control. He is not overtaken by events, even an epidemic. You may have heard me say before that history is his story. The Gospels quote the Old Testament prophet Zechariah. Hundreds of years earlier, when Jerusalem was in ruins, following the Babylonian invasion, the prophet looked forward to a time when the king would return and the kingdom be restored. The palm branches were a sign of victory, and the clothing was a sign of respect. Sir Walter Raleigh would have approved. This is classic biblical drama with Old Testament allusions. There is an amusing Kenny Everett sketch where, against the background of London traffic noise, he announces, "It's very difficult to park in London." The camera then pans back to reveal him sitting in the turret of a Challenger tank, which promptly goes into a parking space and crushes the Mini in that space. Jesus enters not on a warhorse, a Challenger tank, but on a humble donkey. This was not a military parade in Jerusalem's equivalent of the Red Square. This was a prophetic signpost in the ultimate adventure of faith. God is preparing his people for the unveiling of his plan. I find myself asking the question, how do the moments in our lives which have been very spiritually significant. What kind of spiritual roadmap have we followed, and where are we heading? Jesus did not want the people to see him as a military deliverer who would overthrow the Romans, and he always saw the revelation of himself as someone's opportunity. This day was the nation's opportunity, and it is ours too. Bishop Leslie Newbigin wrote that the gospel is public truth. So the question reverberates from Palm Sunday to Good Friday. What are we going to do with Jesus, who is called Christ? The crowd had two choices. They could accept or they could reject. But they could not do as Pilate tried to do, wash their hands and walk away. The message of Easter is that the life, death and resurrection of Jesus are inescapable. With that in mind, let us make our journey through this Holy Week. May God bless you.